Let me start today's episode of Grundkurs English with a quote. Anybody can make history. Only a great man can write it. Jeder kann Geschichte machen, aber nur ein großer Mann kann Geschichte schreiben. This quote is from Oscar Wilde. Oh, and by the way, welcome to Grundkurs English. Well, Oscar Wilde for sure made history as a writer. He was one of the most well-known personalities in his time of the 19th century. The Irish author was famous for his humor and verbal wit, his extravagant dress and lifestyle. And for scandals, he went to prison for 2 years for gross indecency with other men. He wrote essays, short stories, fairy tales, and plays. We will hear something from his only novel, The Picture of Dorian Gray. But let me quickly tell you what else we got in store for you. I will visit a museum, and Carolyn will show us the past. Ooh, could be scary. The past simple, I mean, and the past continuous. But now, to our literature. The Picture of Dorian Gray is about a young man and his portrait. The young man, Dorian Gray, admires his portrait and fears that he will soon be old and wrinkly and not as young and handsome as his portrait. We listen to a conversation now between Dorian, the artist who painted the portrait, Basil, and Lord Henry Wotton, a friend of Basil's. Here's the next one, which will lead us to the next chapter of my adventures in Germany. No great artist ever sees things as they really are. If he did, he would cease to be an artist. Also, kein großer Künstler sieht die Dinge, wie sie wirklich sind. Wäre sonst kein Künstler. If you remember the last episode, I was on my way to the museum. And here comes my experience with art. Also, pay attention to the grammar. Past simple. Die einfache Vergangenheit. Here you have it, James. The Pinakothek der Moderne. One of the world's greatest collections of 20th and 21st century art.
Wow, this place is gigantic. Who came up with the design?
The German architect Stefan Braunfels designed it.
Huh. When did it first open?
In September 2002, after 7 years of construction. During construction, the whole city of Munich was in an uproar. I guess it was a bit too modern for Munich's taste. And it was fairly expensive. The taxpayers were not happy at all.
Why is it so big?
Well, it's divided into art, architecture, design, and works on paper. Each of the 4 corners of the building is dedicated to a special collection. Hey, James, we're running out of time. We need to get a move on. The museum's gonna close. Let's go check out the design collection first.
Okay.
All right? There is no sin except stupidity. Es gibt keine Sünde außer der Dummheit. That is from Oscar Wilde's essay, The Critic as Artists. Yes, another quote. And since we don't want to be sinners, we will do everything to avoid stupidity. Here's Caroline. Please, make us smart.
Ich tue mein Bestes, Eric. Danke. Wie Eric schon erwähnt hat, dreht sich die heutige Grammatik um die Vergangenheit. Wir beschäftigen uns zuerst mit dem Past Simple, der einfachen Vergangenheit. Die wird verwendet, wenn man über einen Vorgang in der Vergangenheit spricht, der schon abgeschlossen ist. Hier haben wir mal ein Beispiel aus dem Film.
The German architect Stefan Braunfels designed it.
Der Architekt hat das Gebäude entworfen. Der Vorgang ist definitiv abgeschlossen und vorbei. Schließlich steht das Museum ja und ist fertig. Das Wort designed zeigt auch gleich, wie das Past Simple gebildet wird. Zumindest bei den regelmäßigen Verben. Die bekommen nämlich einfach ein ed angehängt. Und zwar in allen Konjugationen. Das sieht dann so aus. I, you, he, she, it. we, you, they, designed. Überall die gleiche Form. Frage und Verneinung werden mit to do umschrieben. Did you design this museum? No, I didn't design that museum. Es sei denn, man fragt nach dem Satzgegenstand. Auch hierzu habe ich eine Grafik für Sie. Who came up with the design? Hier brauchen wir die Konstruktion mit to do nicht. Englisch ist eben eine erfreulich sparsame Sprache. Mit der Frage Who came up with the design, umgangssprachlich für wer hat's erfunden, sind wir aber auch schon bei unserem nächsten Punkt, den unregelmäßigen Verben. Das unregelmäßige Verb in diesem Satz ist came. Wie der Name schon sagt, bilden die unregelmäßigen Verben gemeinerweise auch ein unregelmäßiges Past Simple. Come, came, do, did, begin, began, go, went, take, took und so weiter. Be gehört übrigens auch zu der Gruppe der unregelmäßigen Verben. Eine Übersicht dazu habe ich hier. I was, you were, he, she, it, was und so weiter. So, jetzt sind wir gleich durch mit dem Past Simple. Mehr dazu finden Sie natürlich im Buch und auf unserer Internetseite. Ich gebe Ihnen aber noch ein paar Signalwörter an die Hand, die Ihnen verraten, wann das Past Simple zu verwenden ist. Ago, last, past, when und so weiter. Sie merken, die deuten alle an, dass etwas vorbei ist, also schon stattgefunden hat. Deshalb verwenden wir das Past Simple. 2 hours ago, I had lunch. Last week, I bought a car. Auch bei zeitlichen Bezügen, wie zum Beispiel bei Datumsnennungen oder beim Verweis auf Jahreszahlen und geschichtliche Epochen. So, das war es jetzt aber wirklich von mir, zumindest fürs Erste. Ich kann es mir aber genau wie der gute Eric auch nicht verkneifen, Mr. Wilde zu zitieren. Der Mann hat einfach so viele kluge Sachen gesagt bzw. geschrieben. Also, hier kommt mein Zitat. Fortunately, in England at any rate, thought is not catching. Zum Glück ist Denken nicht ansteckend, jedenfalls nicht in England. Naja, bei uns ist Denken natürlich ansteckend und ich bin mir sicher, Eric ist schon infiziert. Oder, Eric?
Oh, oh yeah, Carolyn. Sorry, I was lost in thoughts. Okay, that part of grammar for today is over. I think we could use a short break gathering our thoughts. So let's have a look into what Oscar Wilde was writing about, the British society. Here comes Into the English World, England.
England, with Scotland and Wales, is situated in the British Isles. Together with Northern Ireland, they make up the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. If you can say one thing about the English, then it has to be that they're addicted to tea. In the afternoon, they just love to sit in one of the numerous tea shops scattered across the country. Whether in chic or casual surroundings, the national drink goes down well everywhere. The English drink more than 165 million cups of tea every day. This is where only 35 kilometers of water separate England from the continent. The white chalk coastline in the south of the country was and is the gateway to the largest European island. This was where the first conquerors landed on England's shores thousands of years ago. England is often wrongly used as a synonym for Great Britain. That's probably because of its long-time dominance in the kingdom. England is the biggest state in the United Kingdom. With just under 51 million people, it is also the nation with the highest population. The red double-decker buses are the trademark of London. The capital is the economic centre of England and accordingly very expensive. Besides its conservatively royal charm, London is also flamboyant, modern and diverse. The Tower of London is without doubt the most symbolic example of the city's buildings. It was built in the Middle Ages and has served as a castle, armoury, palace and prison. In contrast to the many history-laden sites, there is the London Eye, a giant Ferris wheel. At a height of 135 metres, you get a tremendous view of the capital. And if you don't have a head for heights, you can always enjoy something typically English which is more down to earth. Yes, you've got it, a nice cup of tea.
Maybe our Bavarian would understand more if he was drinking tea in London instead of beer in Boston. Let's see what that crazy guy has to say today in Boston.
Thank you, ma'am.
Love's a malady without a cure.
Malady?
Sickness.
If I understood you correctly, you mean the melody of the song Sickness is kind of a love song?
No. Malady, not melody.
Melody heißt Melodie. Oh, Melodie. Malady heißt Krankheit. Malady. I have the simplest tastes. I'm always satisfied with the best. Ich bin nicht sehr wählerisch. Das Beste ist für mich ausreichend. Das soll Oscar Wilde gesagt haben. My taste is similar. This is why, after entering the museum, I led my friend directly to the famous design collection. Here is what he thought about it. And look out for the next bit of grammar, the past continuous, die Verlaufsform der Vergangenheit. I was walking through the museum one day.
Huh? What are these ordinary, everyday items doing on display here? If I want to see a mixer, I go to my mom's kitchen.
You mean those mixers? Mm-hmm. And that aerodynamic bike?
Uh-huh.
And those coffee machines?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, James, if you think about it, it makes you realize that everyday objects are also art, only in a mass-produced manner.
Mm-hmm.
These designs define generations, and now it's time to pay tribute.
Wow, cool. Look at these freaky computers.
Yeah, this is actually the first Apple Macintosh computer.
Uh-huh.
Apple was selling computers which cost over, I think, $10,000 US, until co-founder Steve Jobs and his designing team created the first Mac, and this is it. In 1984, I think, it was selling for $2,500. Mm-hmm. That was such a reasonable price that it gave a lot of people the possibility to buy their own personal computers.
Wasn't Microsoft selling more computers?
No, Microsoft develops software for computing services.
Uh-huh.
But IBM was selling personal computers running on MS-DOS and Microsoft Windows.
Mm-hmm.
IBM was still one of the companies leading in PC sales when Macintosh, or Apple, came out with their all-in-one computer, the iMac, in 1998.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look here, the laptop still looks... It's a shame, James. I was really wanting to take you up to the modern art display. They have some really nice exhibits on Beuys and Pablo Picasso.
Oh well.
Maybe next time.
Yeah. Hey, Eric. Thanks for taking me along. I don't want to keep you any longer, so thanks.
Hey, my
Bye-bye.
pleasure, man. Have a nice day in Munich.
Okay, see ya.
Bye-bye.
Ja, ich präsentiere Ihnen nun die Verlaufsform der Vergangenheit. Denken Sie zurück an die Folge 4. Da ging es um die Verlaufsform der Gegenwart, das Present Continuous. Es wird mit to be und dem Verb plus ing gebildet. Nochmal als kleine Wiederholung. Das Past Continuous funktioniert nach dem gleichen Schema, nur dass das to be dabei natürlich in der Vergangenheit steht. Also nicht mehr I am selling, sondern I was selling. Und nicht they are selling, sondern they were selling. Das Present Continuous, die Verlaufsform der Gegenwart, wird verwendet, um Vorgänge zu beschreiben, die gerade vor sich gehen und eine gewisse Zeit dauern. Das ist bei der Verlaufsform der Vergangenheit auch so. Durch sie wird betont, dass ein Vorgang in der Vergangenheit andauerte oder dass er zu einem bestimmten Zeitpunkt in der Vergangenheit gerade stattfand, also nicht abgeschlossen war. Schauen wir doch kurz in Erics Museumstour rein.
Apple was selling computers which cost over 10,000 US dollars until co-founder Steve Jobs and his design team created the Mac. In 1984, it was selling for only 2,500 US dollars.
Apple was selling computers until Steve Jobs. Apple hat teure Computer verkauft, bis Steve Jobs den Mac erfunden hat. Hier haben wir genau diesen Fall. Der Verkauf teurer Computer hat damals in der grauen IT-Vergangenheit eine ganze Zeit lang angedauert. Deshalb Past Continuous. Unser zweites Beispiel sehen wir auf der nächsten Grafik. In 1984, gemeint ist der Mac, was selling for only $2,500. Der Schwerpunkt der Aussage liegt durch die Verwendung des Past Continuous, also darauf, dass das ganze Jahr 1984 über der Mac für damals ganz schön happige $2.500 verkauft wurde. Der Vorgang fand zu einem bestimmten Zeitpunkt der Vergangenheit gerade statt. Er dauerte in 1984 an. Deshalb auch hier Past Continuous. Noch ein Beispiel.
IBM was leading in PC sales when Apple first came out with the all-in-one iMac.
IBM was leading when Apple came out. Dass IBM die Computerverkäufe anführte, ist nur die Hintergrundhandlung zu dem eigentlichen Ereignis, nämlich dass Apple den Mac auf den Markt brachte. Möchte man so etwas aussagen, dann verwendet man ebenfalls das Past Continuous. Nun haben wir also besprochen, wie man das Past Continuous bildet und wann man es verwendet. Jetzt schauen wir, wie man eine Frage im Past Continuous formuliert. So zum Beispiel.
Wasn't Microsoft selling more computers?
Erinnern Sie sich an die Beispiele beim Present Continuous. Is she visiting her parents? Isn't she visiting her parents? Beim Past Continuous funktioniert das nach dem gleichen Schema. Wasn't Microsoft selling more computers? Oder was Microsoft selling more computers? Beide Varianten des Fragesatzes werden gebildet durch Inversion. Das was wandert an den Satzanfang und das Subjekt Microsoft zwischen die beiden Prädikatsteile was und selling. Verneint wird eine solche Frage einfach mit not oder der Kurzform. No, Microsoft was not selling more computers. Puh, das war ein Haufen Zeug. Deshalb ein Zitat von Oscar Wilde, von wem sonst? There is no work so delightful as the work one does for others. Die schönste Arbeit ist die, die man für andere tut. Und wenn irgendjemand aufopferungsvoll für andere arbeitet, dann ist das der Cowboy. Hier kommt seine heutige gute Tat.
Oh no, Mary. I've left my wallet at home. I haven't got any money.
You want me to borrow you some money?
You don't have any money either?
I can borrow you some.
I'm sorry, Mary. I have no money. I guess we can't go into the museum now.
I think it's time to call a cowboy. Hello, cowboy? I'm having a problem communicating. Can you please come to the rescue?
Okay, I'm coming to the rescue. What seems to be the problem, ma'am?
Ich kann George Geld leihen für den Eintritt, aber er versteht mich nicht. Jetzt sagt er, wir können nicht ins Museum. Kannst du mir vielleicht helfen?
Kein Problem. Erstens, to borrow bedeutet, man leiht sich von niemandem etwas aus. Die Vergangenheitsform ist borrowed. Beispiel: Ich muss mir etwas Geld leihen. I have to borrow some money. Und zweitens, to lend. Das ist das Gegenteil von to borrow. Man leiht jemandem etwas aus. Die Vergangenheitsform ist unregelmäßig. Lent. Mit T. Lent. Beispiel: Ich kann mir nicht leisten, dir Geld zu leihen. I can't afford to lend you any money. Und wenn du immer noch unsicher bist, dann versuch to borrow mit take und to lend mit give zu ersetzen. You can only borrow something from somebody. Lend me a pen is correct. Borrow me a pen is not correct. Give me a pen is correct. Take me a pen is not correct.
Thanks, Cowboy, for your help. Now I understand the difference between lend and borrow.
My pleasure, ma'am. Just remember one thing. If you find yourself in a hole, the first thing you do is stop digging. Second thing you do is call a cowboy. Or call a Carolyn. Thanks for all your help.
Gerne, see you soon.
Bye-bye. Oscar Wilde meint, dass bei den Engländern und den Amerikanern eigentlich alles gleich ist, außer der Sprache. As an American, I can only agree, but we want to close the gap between British English and American English for you. Have a look at our Say It Again, Sam, Humphrey and Sherlock. Here we go. Chum. Mate. Detour. Diversion. Secondary highway. Dual carriageway. Downtown area. City center. Interstate. Motorway. Intersection. Crossroads. Pull off. Lay-by. Traffic circle. Roundabout. Yield. Right of way. Give way. It's time to say goodbye, but first, a piece of thought for today from Oscar Wilde. Travel improves the mind wonderfully and does away with all one's prejudices. Let us travel together into the language zone. Thanks for watching and auf Wiedersehen. The language zone. We began with the reading of Oscar Wilde's The Picture of Dorian Gray. The novel centers on Gray, a young man of great beauty. In episode 5, Eric invited one of the tourists on his tour of the Museum Pinakothek der Moderne. Through this aha experience, we learned how to use the past simple and the past continuous. For example, in 1984, it was selling for $2,500. England was our cup of tea, and we learned that there is one thing the English cannot live without, their cup of tea. Oh, and we can't forget about our cowboy, who finally pointed out to us how to use lend and borrow. You can only borrow something from someone. Lend me a pen is the same as give me a pen. And can I borrow your pen is the same as can I take your pen. Thank you, cowboy, for coming to the rescue. Thanks to our detectives, we now know the difference between some UK and US road signs because they call the center of a city the city center. In the UK, you wouldn't see a sign labeled downtown area. And our Bavarian in Boston, who makes many phonetic mistakes, gives us a chance to hear the difference between melody and melody. Because of his self-confidence, we are given this fantastic opportunity. Thanks, bud.